Hello everyone. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a video. Been just crazy busy lately, so sorry about that. I'm going to walk you through a clutch replacement on an '07 Mustang GT500. This thing's in really nice shape. So we'll start off here by pulling the shifter. It's two 13mm bolts. And then disconnect the negative battery terminal. And we'll pull all four O2 sensor wires. I like to use some long needle nose pliers and a screwdriver to get the upstream ones. They're really tough to get to up there. Then loosen up the Y pipe or the H pipe or down or up pipe clamps. Ooh, almost took a bath there. And there. And we'll pull the four nuts for the upstream exhaust pipe assembly. And then there's a brace. Pull the brace out. Next we're going to pull the drive line. And I'm going to mark the drive line front and back. Loosen up this center support. And the front bolts. And the back bolts. I'll put a screw jack under the back of it so it doesn't fall down. And pull the drive line out. And then the shifter bracket, there's two nuts in the back. Pull those out. We'll put a screw jack under the back of the transmission to support that. Pull this rear transmission support bracket. I think that's a reverse light switch and a speed sensor. So we'll pull all the wiring using some of these trim tools. Then we'll pull the starter. I really love these 90-degree impact Milwaukees. Use them on a daily basis. I have the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch. And Workshop says you can pull the transmission from there, but I'm going to go ahead and pull the heat shields and the upper insulation to give me some more room to get to the bolts. The insulation has two plastic push pins. Pop those loose, lower the transmission down a little bit, and then slide this insulation out the back. Next we'll take the upper bell housing bolts, and then we'll pull the slave cylinder line, hydraulic line. And this slave cylinder does not have a bleeder. It takes about 100 pumps in the pedal to work the air out of it. And I'll put that screw jack up underneath the harmonic balancer so when I'm pulling the transmission, the engine doesn't rock forward. And Workshop says it comes out by twisting the transmission. It did not. So I loosened up the subframe bolts and dropped the subframe down about a 1/2 inch, and that gave me enough clearance. And this one is really stuck on the dowels, so I had to pry pry it off. It didn't want to come off. And we'll work this transmission out. We'll just leave the transmission right on the jack when we're servicing this. Here's the flywheel. This is a brand new OEM Ford. Comes with bolts. This flywheel was, I think, $950, somewhere in there, almost $1,000. And there's the clutch set. Comes with a new slave cylinder, the alignment tool, and the pressure plate bolts. I believe the parts, total parts for this was around $2,000. Now this clutch is a performance clutch, and it's a twin clutch disc in there. There's 2 discs in it. And when these wear, it's packed with dust in there. Most of the dust is actually the flywheel wearing down because it's metallic. I suppose it's a lot of clutch dust too, but if you put a magnet up there, it sticks to the magnet. But yeah, this thing is just packed with dust. So I'm going to go ahead and wash most of it out with brake cleaner. You don't need to get all of it out, but I like to get the bulk of it out. And there's this 90-degree plastic elbow. Go ahead and remove that. Then we'll remove the slave cylinder. The slave cylinder has the release bearing integrated to it. And we'll finish doing some cleanup in the input shaft. Clean that up really good. Blow it dry. And we'll pull the pilot bearing out. I didn't realize at the time the pilot bearing's not included in the set, so I had to order that. And the pilot bearing also has the outer bushing integrated to it. So there's 2 holes on the flywheel. I cleaned those out. When you pull the flywheel bolts out, you put 2 of the flywheel bolts into those threaded holes, and that's what will pull or press the flywheel off the crankshaft. So that's what I'm doing here. Now that we've got it loosened up, I can remove the bolts and pull the flywheel. And of course everything is just packed with dust. And I am wearing an N95 mask while I'm doing this service. This is a blind hole remover. Blind hole, like a pilot remover. So that's what I'm going to use to remove this large inner bushing that's pressed onto the new pilot bearing. Get that popped out. And we'll use my bushing driver set, and the new pilot and bushing are integrated together, so we'll press that in. You just pound that in until it bottoms out. In this one, the pilot, one of the needle bearings in the pilot was missing. So we'll clean up the flywheel, install the flywheel, and it only goes on one way. couple of the bolt holes are staggered, so you can't mess that up because it will not line up. So we'll put the new flywheel bolts in it. Snug those up. And these are torqued to 59 foot-pounds. We'll use a flywheel holder. Next, for the new disc and pressure plate assembly, put the alignment tool in the center, stick it in the pilot, centers it up, install the new bolts, and I tighten these bolts up by just slowly working them all the way around, and just keep going gradually until it bottoms out. And these bolts, I believe, are torqued to 89 inch-pounds plus 90 degrees. So this 1/4-inch torque wrench has an angle mode. So I'm going to 89 inch-pounds right now. I'm going to mark the first bolt so I know where I started. And then I'm going to go into angle mode and torque these an additional 90 degrees. There you have it. This one's ready for assembly. Got the new slave cylinder. Put some spline lube, a small amount of spline lube on the input shaft. The pilot doesn't need anything. Got everything cleaned up on the inside. The 90-degree elbow reinstalled. Looks really good. A new flywheel, clutch and pressure plate assembly. It's all cleaned up. Like I said, this is a dual disc setup. And installation is just the reverse of removal. Alright, thanks for watching everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.